Welcome back to Hawkeye Skunk Works. We're going to do some work on the Bronco tonight. So we got it home, and first thing we did was clean it out. And by clean it out, I mean just empty stuff out of it. There where we had extra seats, I had a spare. There's a box full of parts behind the seats. I got some stuff sitting on the trailer. So we just emptied it out, and then we addressed the tailgate situation. So let's go take a look. So thankfully, the previous owner did put a new tailgate on it, and those things are not cheap. I pulled the lock out of it already because I have been doing some work that we're going to talk about. So tailgate's on. It's a good tailgate, and we'll hop around here, pop the seat, and as you can see, almost fell over. So there's no carpet in the back. And I think I talked about this earlier, where someone had cut the floor to put a fuel pump in it. And you'll notice here is the wiring for the tailgate. So they're notoriously bad for having switches and wiring and motor issues. Now, previous owner found out that the motor was good, wiring, switch, sensor issues were messed up. So that is a drop cord that we can run to the battery and actually put the window down. So the window will go down, motor works, and let me hop out and I'm going to put the window down right now. Alright, glass is down, or at least mostly down. It had window tint on it, and it's been peeled off, and it's still kind of sticky, and it hangs up on the weather stripping, and as you can see, everything is filthy, dirty, and I tried to grease the track and gears as much as I can. It's probably going to need hosed out and re-greased or cleaned better. It doesn't like to go down too well. But anyway, so I unhooked the extension cord. I've got the wiring hooked back up, and you saw earlier I had the lock pulled out of it. Now that switch, the key has a switch on it that you can put the window up and down via the key. And then it also has, I'm going to try and get down here for you guys to see this. This is a plug that goes to a safety switch, essentially. So that when the tailgate is down, from what I have read online, it will not let you put the glass up and down via the switch. Now, apparently those sensors, which are up in here, go bad, and it's pretty common for people to just jump these. Which is what I have done, or it was done already, and it was really a crap wire. Now, so I put a new wire in there just so that I knew, and I bypassed that switch altogether for the time being, and I've plugged the harness back in. I jumped that lead, or that sensor, used the extension cord, window goes up and down, I greased it a little bit, then I jumped inside here and was monkeying with the switch. Now, it would go down fine after I hooked the wiring harness back up, obviously in the back, and sometimes it would go up, sometimes it wouldn't. So I popped the front off the switch, and it's just plastic contacts in there pushing down copper connectors, and it was pretty worn. So I assumed that the switch was just worn out, and so this was a couple days ago, and now I've jumped ahead. $30 switch off of Amazon, and new switch installed, hooked up, have the wire jumper over that sensor, and we have up and we have down. How about that? Now, I'm not going to worry about that key switch, because as I said earlier, this car only came with a key for the ignition. Now, the ignition key should work for the front doors, which it doesn't, and it's not just because they're dirty or anything. I pulled them out and was looking at them. They're totally different, and it should have a separate key for the tailgate, which it doesn't have. So I need to get all that sorted out, figure out what I want to do. I'm just happy that I can put the window up and down from the switch so that I can open the tailgate, which leads us to another problem. And that problem is right here. Now, this is the latch. That's how you open the tailgate. You have to put the window down and then open the latch. So you see here, when you pull this latch, this is supposed to push that over, which pulls the releases for the door. And so you can see that right there. Well, this is all either worn out or out of adjustment or a combination of everything, because I have to reach in here and pull both of these bars to pop the tailgate. So I think we need to unbolt this and pull this whole assembly out and see if we can adjust it or lube it up. Oh, I also thought I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but the dash lights didn't used to work, and the switch, the dimmer switch, the light switch, had a pole on it that wasn't meant for this car, because this standard one, the factory one, which I got at a junkyard the other day, wouldn't fit on it because the splines are all worn out. So I found another switch, a U switch, in the truck when I got it home that wasn't all worn out, swapped it out, and what do you know? Gauge lights work now, except for 2 of them on the end, so I think there's 1 bulb, maybe 2 bulbs that are burnt out, but that's a win. That's a free part. So, and speaking of the junkyard, I got another hood for 15 bucks, score there, and I also got a new dash pad for 5 bucks, which I'm totally happy about. I also needed, this is this trim piece, but it goes here where the bezel would be if it was all installed, because somebody had screwed a bunch of junk to it. So I got one of those that came with the dash piece, so that was fantastic. And other than that, maybe in this video I'll throw some time lapse. We'll rip the hood and these fenders off, because I've already got the fenders, as you guys saw, pretty close to the same color, not exactly the same color. The hood actually might be the same color. Obviously it's faded differently, but I think it's the same color. I realize I've been jumping around doing a bunch of stuff. I changed that grill because it came with another one, because the one that was on it down there, all the black insert was like really faded and stuff. So yeah, I've just been lubing stuff up, and oh, I know what I was going to show you. Let's go take a look at that latch again. So I was right, that was the lock, and I dug around in the tailgate and I found the lock bar, but on this end it's all rusted off, so I'm gonna have to add that to the list of things that I need to get. I did, here it is. Washed it off and sprayed some lubricant on it. I've got some it's dry silicone spray lube, so that should dry pretty good and hopefully not collect too much dust and crap. And it's a lot freer now, so we're gonna go ahead and throw that back in there and try to keep it unlocked and see how it works. Well, just like that, the front end is off, and by just like that I mean a week worth of evenings working on it. It's ridiculous. Look at how many bolts. I had all these bolts had to come off to get these fenders off. Now, yes and no, I could have pulled some stuff off, but I had you take the trim piece off the front, the panel with all the headlights and things. The combination of everything just being old and dirty and crusty made it more difficult, but literally that is the amount of stuff that you're supposed to take off to get these fenders off. I probably should have even taken the bumper off, but I was able to fish them out. Just absolutely insane. But I guess at least I know how to put them back on. But we did make some other really good progress on this. Let's step over here. I couldn't take it any longer. I had to bust out the angle grinder with the cutoff wheel and cut these fenders. Now actually, the rust wasn't as bad as I thought. About an inch or so, inch and a half maybe, I've cut off of here. The inner fender is still there. These are just the plastic liners. I haven't unbolted those. Down here, the door did rust through, and I'm gonna probably buy a patch panel for down here, so then it'll have the body line to go inside the door. But back here, this wasn't too bad. This is just a cross member underneath, and the bottom kind of rusted, but that's really typical. I'll probably just make myself a panel to go over there, and pretty much identical on the other side. The fenders were a little bit worse. So I think what I'm gonna do is buy new wheel arch panels, and I'm going to cut them so they kind of almost look like a fender flare, and I'll use some door edge trim around the cut edge, and then get some really nice self-tapping screws, probably like some Torx headed ones, and I'll put it all on with seam sealer and stuff, and then bedline over all of it. And I mean, it's a 96 Bronco. It's rusty and crusty, it's got a ton of miles on it. Yes, it's cool, and it's, you know, a lot of it is good, but, you know, we're not doing a frame off, and I don't need to do the whole quarter panel. So here is the other side, and I had ground all this down, and then I just hit it with some red Rust-Oleum just because it's parked outside, and I didn't want it to flash rust over. You can see the rust down there is pretty much the same, and the rust down there, that's not quite as bad as the other side. I think I'm going to get away with just a piece of sheet metal to patch over that. Now on the inside, I did vacuum. I have not wiped anything down yet, but I did vacuum. I put the buckets back in. Me and the wife talked, and we figured we think the buckets with the center console storage is going to be more user friendly for us. Yeah, that seat is a little rough, but I think I could take the cover off the other one and redo it. Dash is apart because I cleaned my gauge cluster, wiped down all the bulbs and everything. Lights all work now, so that's cool. The shift linkage was broken, so it was loose. Got another one of those from the junkyard, swapped that in. New dash pad piece from the junkyard. I had to get a new trim piece that was over there because somebody had put a bunch of screws in it. So I got that. I do need to get, actually, they're waiting for me at AutoZone, bushings for the shifter, because this is all loosey-goosey. There's some bushings that go in there. And I need to get a new boot from the junkyard for that, and the top cover, because that was all hacked to bits. But door panels, I put screws back in the door panels, fixed the lights. So just a lot of odds and ends. I did, when I vacuumed, I pulled up the door sill pieces and the weather stripping. And this is typical, you know, at least in my experience for Ford of this generation, probably. Everything else, I mean, it's rusty, crusty. The other side did have one little hole in it, but actually it was better than I thought it would be. I got chassis saver. I'm gonna slather all in here with a brush. It's like Pour 15. It's just a rust preventative rust converter, heavy duty paint. So we'll do that. I did destroy a door sill in the process, so I'm gonna have to get one of those from the junkyard. But oh well. Other than that, I was just telling my wife the other night that's actually going better than I thought. As far as the rust, I kind of expected to cut the rust away, and then there'd be more, and I'd have to cut more away, and then there'd be more behind it, and I'd have to cut more away. But it's actually been pretty good, especially I was pleased underneath the carpet, and I had the seats up, and the floor pans are all good, so I'm happy with that. It does have the typical drip rail. It's like the gutter on the roof there. Gets rusty, and then the water seeps down. So I'm going to get that all ground down and fill that with seam sealer, which is what they did from the factory as well. So I've been rambling quite a bit, but we've made a lot of progress, and I'm really, really happy about it. So I will cut you guys loose. Please feel free to leave comments in the comment section below. Email me, hawkeyeskunkworks@gmail.com. Hit us up on Instagram, which is where I'm by far the most active, and Twitter, and subscribe and give it a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Have a good night. We'll see you later.